It's that time for me and the boys to have some conversation. That must mean that the Elliot's Loft door is open. Yeah, I have my green tea ready. It's about time that Mark Elliott, Mr. DeMaurice, Mr. Charles get together and on a weekly get together and just talk. And I love the fact we do it weekly because we get a chance to kind of check in, see how each other is doing, what's been up, what's not been up, what's been down, that type of reflection. And I'm happy that we have a platform to do it on such, but I think that's something that a lot of people should do. Just check in with somebody from time to time, weekly. See how the week has been, see how they're feeling, make sure they're good. With that being said, good morning, Mr. D. Maurice. How you feeling, my brother?
You know how I'm feeling, and I ain't gonna say it out in front of the peoples. I'm good.
You're okay. You're okay. Yeah, my brother. Yeah, you always come to the conversation a certain way. We know how that way. Oh, I tell you something, man. It's we're we do this early, and in the Northeast, it's funny. I woke up this morning, the house was chilly, man. I went out and grabbed some breakfast, warmer outside than inside. And I don't know about you, Mr. Charles, man. I wait till the last minute to turn some heat on. So I'm not ready to turn heat on yet, man. So I wait till the last minute because I know once I turn it on, it's gonna be on for a while. But how you feeling out there in the weather in Ohio, Mr. Charles? Good morning.
I'm good, man. I went out earlier. I was like you. I was like, man, this is it 57 degrees outside. Once you get outside, you realize it's not that bad. But man, it's Ohio, bro. Ain't nobody turning no heat on. Heat, bro. Bro, you better get in the 30s or something. I mean, look. If it
Thirty.
if it's 40, 42 or above and not a lot of wind, we don't call that cold in Ohio. You know what we call that? We call that brisk.
Mm.
Meaning ain't that cold yet, son. Cause at brisk, and I know living in Chicago, boy, anywhere that says has a lake effect, Lake Erie, whatever one you want to call, man, ugh, brutal, brutal. It's just brisk here, bro, but it's still good.
I like that word brisk, man. I like that. Now, you spoke of Chicago, Illinois. That's where Mr. DeVries resides. That's one thing I shoot my hat to, my brother, because I know those winters there are brutal, bro. How you do it? How do you put up with the winters of Illinois, my brother?
You know the winters can be brutal here, but in the last few winters, man, it hasn't been as brutal as the blizzards, the snowstorms as in the past. So we've been kind of lucky with the winters here. I mean, it gets cold, it gets below zero every now and then, but everybody has their winter attire already, and when you're here, you spend some time here, you know what to do, you know how to keep warm and what to wear and layer up and all that other stuff, so it ain't nothing new. You get acclimated real quick.
I'm gonna say something my granddaddy would say a long time ago, man. You need yourself a bed warmer. But
Ah. Tis the season, ain't
it's the
it?
season for a bed warmer, baby.
Tis
And I'm
the
not talking
season.
electric blanket either. You need yourself a bed warmer.
Now is that different than a foot warmer?
Oh yeah,
Much
oh yeah.
different, much different, much different, much different. Yeah, much different. Yeah, nice bed warmer. Woo, gentlemen. I was thinking about this the other day, and it kind of just started with a simple thought: men grinding, and it moved so far from there. And I looked at it in many different ways because I look at us three gentlemen. We all do things outside of our basic standard job, and that's grinding. We just don't settle for okay. I'm doing this. I'm not going to be doing anything else. Now, there are some men that basically do their regular 8 hours. They come home and their day is done. But most men find a way to continue to grind. It's like in our DNA. We find reasons to grind. We find things to do. We just can't settle sometimes just letting that be enough. And I'll come to you first, Mr. Charles, with this one because men grinding. Why? Why is it that you particularly grind when you could basically, do what you do and be like, what, that's enough. But there's something inside of you that turns. What's behind it, my brother?
Well, I think for myself, that's the law that was laid down to me by my dad. It's like, consider my situation, and I wouldn't say it's just me, but for some men, you say to yourself, if you don't grind, then maybe you're afraid of failing, and I don't mean that like I feel like something's going to happen tragically, but I'm so used to grinding that I don't want to lose anything or miss anything. So if I'm grinding, something does happen, I have what I want to say. I have more comfort, something I can fall back on. And but to be driven though is because that's the way I was taught, more or less like a hunter. I said this before. I'm like a hunter. What I kill, I eat. If I don't kill, I don't eat. So when I had that mentality, I'm always thinking I got to keep moving, keep going. It's not like I'm never satisfied, but it's always want to remind myself that you always have to keep hustling. The hustle is real. You can take a break, you can have fun, you can do a lot of other stuff, but the mentality is that you want to continue to live at a certain place and keep advancing and growing as a person. You got to keep grinding.
I think you spoke of the key why some men are grinders and some men may not be. And you said that, comes from your dad. And when you have that male figure in your life as a young male and he's grinding, you see him out there just hitting it, regardless, hitting it, that trickles down into you. You see that. You want to kind of, pay, in a sense, pay honor to it. Because if you had a father that was doing it and it didn't pass down to you, you're not doing it, you're going to feel a certain way. You're going to feel a certain way about yourself. Am I living up to? Am I worthy? And if you have no measuring stick, so to speak, Mr. DeMaurice, therefore the grind may be absent of you. But grinding, Mr. Mitch, why are we such grinders, man? Yourself, and why when you look at other men that might be grinding.
I think you got the nail right on the head right there. Our fathers, man, they wouldn't let us sit around and do nothing. We
Mm-mm.
sitting around doing nothing. Oh, you got some free time. Okay, let me spend some of that free time you got. I ain't got no free time. So they get you going, raking the yard, cleaning the yard. You gonna go out there working with them. And so at first, when you're younger, you felt like, oh man, I gotta act like I'm busy because this guy gonna have something for me to do. But then it gets instilled in you that why they're doing all that extra stuff, why they're kind of keeping busy. It could be for a number of reasons. It could be, they want to keep some extra cash in their pocket. That a man shouldn't have idle time. Idle time is not good for men. So it keeps you learning a new skill, learning different things, learning how to survive, learning how to upkeep the house and around the house and things of that sort, making sure your car is all souped up and ready to go when it's ready to go, learning how to maintain that car, things of that sort. So as men, you get instilled with that early with being around other men, your fathers, your uncles, things of that sort. And they just, and the brotherhood that comes out of that too. Because even if you were going to the barbershop with your dad, they were sitting around, they were talking. It was a camaraderie, and they were giving you the expectations of what you should be doing with idle time, and just grinding and trying to make it ahead in this society. Because you're right, you can't just make it with sometimes one income. You got to find different funding streams to kind of survive in this society, especially as black men. Some of us don't get paid as much as we deserve to get paid. So you have family, you have things to pay off and paying bills and things of that sort. So you got to find different streams of income. I found out things about my grandfather on my father's side about what he did working, and then not ashamed to say it, used to run moonshine, in his earlier days, because he had a family, he wanted a house, he wanted all this stuff. So he's like, okay, I'm going to do my thing and make sure that my family's good. So you learn that. And then I look at my father at 81 plus, he won't sit down. He will not sit down. Doesn't have to work, but he'll work a part time just to keep busy, just to keep active, just to keep those limbs going, things of that sort. And you can see the difference between him at 81 and other 81-year-olds who just decide, you know what, I'm going to just retire, just sit back, and you can see their health failing. They're lethargic, things of that sort. He don't look 81 and he don't look lethargic, and he's still doing his thing. So it does make a big difference. The way we were brought up, we kind of pushed it off a little bit, like, man, why this dude always on me about doing such and such and such. And then when you get older, you go realize, okay, this is the way of longevity.
Absolutely. Most definitely, man. That really pays off in the long run. And that's what's really been missing. And when I look at our structure of family or the male structure in the family, we don't have those males anymore that basically set the tone for the other males of the generations to come out here and basically grind. So you got cats now, for the most part, man, they have no problem sleeping all day, waking up at 12, 1 o'clock, with nothing to really do, nothing to grind with, and floating around. And you're looking at them like, how is that? I mean, there's a certain thing throughout the course. And I'm not saying I don't take some days where I'm just Mark. I'm just me. I'm not going to do much. I'm not saying I don't do that. But I know for me, for some time, there's just sometimes I can sleep too late or sleep much later than I want to sleep. I get up and I don't really tend to really do much. I kind of feel like I kind of cheated myself. I feel like I'm more inside I should be doing and trying to get done, and I'm not even doing. I was like, damn, man, we got tomorrow. Got to be better. It's got to be better, and that's how I kind of feel. So grinding is something again, as we spoke of, it's there, and it's kind of a measure of a man. It really is. It's kind of a measure of man to an extent, and it's not like Mr. Charles says, not like we're not satisfied. It's just that, there's things that we feel we should be doing and we're blessed and have the power to do. We should be doing it. I got one question for you, Mr. DeMaurice. And I was listening to you about your grandpa, run the moonshine, man. He did what he did. Now we know he basically ran it. The question is, did he drink some of the moonshine? That's the question I have for you. Did they tell you he drank some of the moonshine? He just basically distributed it. Which one?
I ain't telling on my granddaddy. I don't know what I wasn't there. Never get high on your own supply is what I always hear.
But you may want to check and see if Granddaddy done stashed some to the side. We find that out. Brother, that was what I was saying about brothers. I was saying about basically grinding. I came across this gentleman here, man. I've been watching him for a while. Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's at, MVP finals. This cat here has been, I watched him play for the Boston Celtics as he's basically grown into being the player that he is. But he's much more than just an NBA player. And that's where I want to go to. Because this man is not afraid to stand alone. He's not afraid to speak up. And what I find with a lot of our younger men, yeah, they have their brand, they have their money, but they're bought, basically. They are afraid to stand alone. They are afraid to speak out. And that's what I mean by being bought. So long as they feel like their brand is being enriched, they just go along and just move along. And not only with Jaylen Brown, I think as a man in general, I know as a man in general, you should not be afraid to stand up. You should not be afraid to speak out. And that's something that to me, if you're a man, you're not a coward, you stand by that. But here's a cat basically that won the NBA Finals last time the NBA Finals was going on, played significant, played well. And for some reason, the shine hasn't come his way. He hasn't gotten the attention. He hasn't gotten the focus. I'm not going to say for some reason. I'm going to kind of explain some reason, possibility why it didn't happen. And in the process, he was, when he was doing this, he had a contract deal where a sneaker company wanted him to basically sign a contract deal for $50 million. And to the average folk, you go, man, that's a lot of money to sign for. But think about this. When they're going to give you 50, how much money they're making off of that 50 they're giving you? They're just not giving you 50 because you're black, young, and they dislike you. They must believe in turn that you're something of value to bestow $50 million on you. I can make 3, 4 more times that if I basically give that to you. Well, maybe he understood that, maybe he didn't, but he decided, no, I'm going to turn that down. And he launched his own sneaker company. And he launched the sneaker company called 741. Now, this gives him full ownership and creative control. Think about that. Full ownership. How many of those cats that are walking around being bought, paid for, own anything like their own company? Because they know who the kids are buying it, what they're buying. You already know the way it's out there. This man decided to take a path on his own and create his own. Now, will it succeed? He's up against big competition. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at least he has the grind in him. This, I'm going to do my own thing. Now, part of the reason why, he's not getting the shine, because he criticized Nike along the way. Now, you may say, well, why would Nike want to kind of basically come back and basically kind of damage him? Think about all the people that are signed to Nike that's not standing alone in the NBA. Think about it. I'm not even going to drop names. Just give some thought to it. Now, what's really was a bigger factor of him not getting shined when Kyrie Irving came out and talked about the movie that he watched pertaining to the Holocaust, stuff of that nature. The NBA and a lot of people in Nike lost their freaking mind. And here's a guy that basically criticized Nike for the way they handled Kyrie Irving. Again, this man stood alone, wasn't afraid to stand up, speak. Who else was he standing with? Take a look around. I'm trying to find the man that that played with him that basically was saying anything. I can't find him. When they chose not to let this man come on the Olympic team, show me the other black players that said something, that stood up, said something, knowing that man should have been on there. How you're the MVP? He's not out there. Now, I'll say this as we move forward. I don't think any black man should go play for the NBA basketball team in the Olympics. Any. If you ain't going there on a political thing to say something that's going to benefit your people, you shouldn't be there. Because back in the day, when black athletes chose to go play for this country, they had something political behind it. So if you go on there to better your brand, to do all that, have people admire you, I got two words for you. Fuck you. So I'm going to come to you with this, Mr. DeMaurice. When we look at the big picture, what's going on with Jaylen Brown, your thoughts, my brother?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is he doesn't want to be controlled by a corporation, and that's usually what these corporations do, and they get to dictate, what you say, how you present yourself, your platform. They keep athletes from saying certain things about certain things politically or what's happening in the country and social wise, and so I think he's pretty unique in as a black athlete because I think he's a Rhodes Scholar or he's very very intelligent, very very intelligent, has a high IQ, and is very very well liked by a lot of folks because of his views, his stances, and things of that sort. And I think when Kyrie did play with the Boston Celtics, they became very close. And so, and I said this about the film, and I watched the film Kyrie watched. It wasn't all about the Holocaust. It was about black people and black history. And I think Jaylen Brown agreed with that. And so he doesn't want to be controlled by corporate America that is going to have you say things or not say things or not stand on issues that need to be vocalized by black athletes. So I commend him for doing this because he saw what happened to Kaepernick, and he saw what happened to Kyrie. He saw what happened to a lot of black athletes. And like I said, if you read his story and read some of the things that he's very unique as a black athlete and very, very intelligent. And you can't get anything by him. And he doesn't get the recognition he deserves as far as playing on the basketball court. And of course, they're winning the championship. But his intellect, he is a very, very intellectual young black man, and I commend him. And if you get a chance to read his story and read articles about him, usually if black men are doing something foolish and off the wall, they get the attention. But I challenge you to read up about Jaylen Brown and all the stuff that he's in, the contributions he's making to different communities, and contributions he's making to black people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Charles, the big picture here, my brother.
Yeah, he as DeMarie said, he's definitely intellectual. He's the type of person that was preparing for life to do life the way he wanted, no matter what, if he was an athlete or not. And that says a lot. So you think about a guy that's like a Rhodes Scholar. He continued to go to school. He finished what he needed to do, and he just happened to be a great basketball player too. So with the money, that money is available to him. So it's awesome. but he kept doing this other thing as well. The other part too is for me is the factor that he has, because of the money that he has, the wealth, he has the ability to create his own company and do that. So it's not like he needs to go to Nike or whoever it may be and beg them for a shoe or any endorsements and stuff like that too. So when you have that ability to control and you can do your own thing. So he's not really worried, I don't think, about any money from that standpoint. So he can just do his own thing. And whatever comes off of that, that's great. And as you mentioned, if he doesn't become wealthy from this, it doesn't matter because he's still in control. And for that, the main thing is for him to be happy and confident in what he wants to do with his life, and I think he's doing that tenfold. So he may not get all the accolades that he deserves on the court, and he may not get the prestige that people want from media slash fans, but I still think he's in a great space.
That is, excuse me, that is, man, that is. I just hope that others can basically learn from him and chart their own path. Chart your own path. Here's a word that don't hear about too often, and the word is flesh, soft substance of muscle and fat that's between the skin and bones, flesh. But realistically, it goes much deeper than that, much deeper. Really, in reality, flesh is man's internal conflict. Yeah, it's a big conflict. I say that to say because a lot of times our spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak, real weak. That statement right there, the spirit is willing, Mr. Charles, but the flesh is weak. And the eternal conflict that arises from that. Your thoughts, my brother?
Yeah, that's really a very deep scenario because we all are fighting things inside of us. And, for instance, I think some of the worst things happen is because, for instance, the people that are religious or people that are in the church, they point to that all the time. And then it's almost as if no matter what you do, if you mess up or you fall short and the flesh is weak and you give in to certain things, then a lot of people think you're going straight to hell or you're such a horrible person. But if you do enough deep dive in whatever you are into, whatever you believe, you understand that we all are sinners, right? And we all fall short. But the key here is no matter what, knowing that you're going to fall short, I think is to understand your weaknesses, understand what really bothers you or really can connect and push through to make that flesh weak, and understand what you need to do to always realize that you're always in control. Or you can be in control if you choose to. Some people are weaker than others, but you got to realize that you can't let anything, no matter what it is, and my last point, that no matter what it is, you can't let anything just totally control you. Because at that point, it becomes weakness and then it becomes an addiction. And people with addictions need help.
You're right, man. I love that. I love that take because you have to remember you're in control. And sometimes you're going to lose the battle. You will lose the conflict that lies in the battle that lies in the conflict. But never lose sight that you're in control and you must fight. You must fight to maintain, exert the discipline, and stay in control. Mr. DeMaurice, the eternal conflict. You know, we're speaking of men. You know, that's what we deal with on a daily basis. You wake up in the morning, it's there waiting for you. Your thoughts behind it, my son, my gentleman.
The first thing I thought about this is, and Charles knows this movie. You do too. Which Way Is Up?
Hmm.
And Richard Pryor, and he was going after Sister Sarah, and she was religious, and she was teaching piano lessons, and Richard
Yes,
Pryor was
sir.
pouring it on, and she just gives up and said, "Oh, I'm so weak."
Mr. Goodnight. I'm
Mr.
so weak.
Goodnight.
Damn.
It just gives in. And I think it's all of us. I mean, we get to points where we get weak, and it gets the best of us sometimes. But I think when you're able to, especially as a man, when you're able to fight off temptation and fight off the flesh and realize that, I've tried to do this in my life, is that, okay, how will I feel after I've done this? And that usually keeps me from doing um, things that I know I'm not supposed to be doing, or getting involved in with the flesh in negative ways. It usually kind of keeps me, um, you know, keeps me balanced. And so I read somewhere, if a man can't control that, then you don't have control in your life. And that always kind of stuck with me. So you get tempted, and you get DMs and all that other stuff of opportunities, but it's like, you try to keep yourself away from those temptations and those things that where the flesh can kind of control your mind and your body. And then, like I said, I always think about, okay, if I do this, if I go through with this, how am I going to feel? Because we have fallen to that, and then I know the feeling afterwards. It's like, man, I shouldn't have done this, or man, this is going to just bring up a whole lot of different stuff I don't want to deal with. And so I tend to, and it's been experience. You tend to fall back on those kind of thoughts, saying, okay, if I do this, here are the consequences that come with this, and it's not, the juice is not worth the squeeze at this particular point.
Most definitely. It really isn't. And it's good to have that monitor, like you said, before you go in and give some thought to it. How you're going to come out? How's it going to come out? How you're going to be afterwards? But interestingly enough, weak flesh tends to invite sin. And you're right, Mr. Charles. We're all sinners, man. We're born to in a sinful world. We are. Sin or moral act against God or divine law. And there's three deadly sins. There's numerous sins out there. But the three deadly ones that kind of really, for man, I think that tugs at us a lot are selfishness, lust, and pride. Let me say those again. Selfishness or selfishness, lust, and pride. Now, those manifestations of the flesh that oppose the life and peace that we should have and be given unto us by God. In reality, when we're dealing with the selfishness, lust, or pride, peace will not be given unto us. Now, as men, we speak of peace a lot. We talk about, it's our biggest, probably one of our biggest desires. We want peace. I want peace. I want peace. Give me a slice of peace. You go to a restaurant, give me peace. Give me this. I want peace. And that's who we are. we desire to have peace. But as a peace checkup, Maurice, if we're basically into one of these three, could that be measured why our peace is not where it could be or where it should be?
It could be. It could be. Won't deny that, because if we're too selfish, and my father always says pride comes before a fall. So he always reminds me of that. If I get too prideful or something, that okay, the fall's coming if you if don't you misuse this. And so yeah, I can see where those are, you know, stumbling blocks for us getting to what we really need and desire.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they hit home. I really do. I think they do. I think the combination, if you're too prideful, you can't expect peace. If you're really digging deep into lust, it's going to feel good. But as we spoke earlier, the monitor going in, how's it going to come out later where it could be peaceful? And if you're selfish and you're not selfishness, peace is not going to follow. At least in my humble opinion, Mr. Charles. So we're measuring the peace that we desire, that we seek and we want, we crave, up against those three deadly sins. Your reaction to it, sir?
Yeah, I agree with what you guys have said earlier. From the standpoint of the pride thing is really crazy because you start believing your own what we say reading your own press clippings, right? Thinking how great you are, and you don't understand that. It takes many things to make you great or whatever you're doing. So that pride sometimes can be overrated, like you're all doing this by yourself. Like there's no higher power or anything working in your favor. Selfishness from the standpoint of uh, just not willing to do anything and helping anybody else, or doing anything else. It just goes crazy against anything else because at some point or another, no matter how much you have accomplished or how much that you have accomplished, you're going to need help. You're going to need somebody to help you in one way or another. And I think you have to look at it from that standpoint. And lust is just, I mean, it speaks to itself, but I'll say this. I mean, we all have our moments where lust can play a part. But the other part that you mentioned that we should think about is the factor that some of us are just over the top with this lust, man. I mean, I've been around some cats. It could be anybody that walks in, or you have something, or somebody comes into the room. Ooh, oh man, you see her? Damn. I'm like, man, well, I mean, I ain't trying to be like maybe because I'm too picky. She average at best. I mean, it's good to acknowledge it. Ooh, ooh, man, God, dog, ooh, man, you see her? I said, what? What is so, And maybe that's on me, but I'm just going, man, what the hell? So sometimes lust of it, I think we just got some wild animals sometimes that we just need to pull
Wow.
back. This guy is a nice looking woman. I mean, there are some stunners and somebody go, ooh, wow. But everyone, it's so easy to fall into that. And I think we have to be very careful how we deal with that because if you don't, it is so much easier for lust to overtake us and come down to as far as the sin is concerned and what we had to be moving forward because it's easy to fall into that trap, bro, because a lot of women run around every 5 seconds. You can find one.
Absolutely. You know, we've stated already, I'll restate it again. We're all sinners. And even the most righteous of persons sometimes don't see themselves as being a sinner. But in reality, a saint is just a sinner who fell down, who got back up. I remember that phrase. I remember the song. When that song first came out, man, I was glued to it, really, because it's redemption. It really is, and saying that and believing that, because a lot of times when we do find ourselves in sin, we feel that condemnation. We feel I'm not, I'm this, I'm that. There's no other way around it. I'm just, and we don't realize you can get back up, and that doesn't mean you're far from being a saint. It just doesn't. It doesn't mean that at all. And sometimes people fall down, and then they think, "Why am I going to get back up? I'm just a sinner. I'm just going to stay here, just continue on." No, become that saint and try to maintain being that saint. Now, sins can be forgiven when we just come to Jesus with a repentant heart of a deep regrettable action. You should love God with all your heart and all your mind. Now, with that being said, Mr. Charles, I'm coming back to you because a lot of times you spoke with the church too. They use this word sin to manipulate, to scare, to control, among other things. Not only the church, I know some parents, and I've stood back and watched, have used this word to control their kids, thinking that if they control them with sin that was younger, don't do this, don't do that, whatever the case may be, that they're just going to grow up and maintain that and not understand that temptation and stuff is going to come and they're going to have to learn how to deal with it and have to learn to fall, basically. So a lot of times the word itself was used to manipulate, scare, and control from a lot of different sectors in our life. And for some reason, outside of the church, the word really is not spoken that often, or maybe outside of parental. It's not spoken that often. What's behind that? What's the reasons behind that?
I think because for a lot of people, though, when people think about sin, they relate it to church, right? They do. They relate it. Oh man, you going to, you saying this and that, and I don't think they think deeper than that. And I think that sometimes, as you mentioned about the church manipulating, using that word sin, some people are turned off by that. That's why people on the outside may not think about it. But I think the main thing for me, and it always has been, once I got older, particularly, is learning that when you talk about sin, that starts with a relationship. Let's start with the relationship that you have with God. And even in the church, people mess up. People fall short. How many pastors out here running around chasing little boys and doing all kind of little things, and when they fall short, a lot of people's faith is gone because they believe they had so much trust and belief in the pastor that they have nothing else to hold on to. So I think it starts with a personal relationship with the Lord, and then you deal with the sin according from there. So no matter what, you're always aware of it, and you don't need a church or somebody else to remind you that you're falling short in what you need to do in regards to sin, because you already have a continued connection with God.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's One Black Man Talk. One, thank you for paying attention, giving us an ear. It's myself, Mark Elliott, Mr. D, Mr. Charles. We get together once a week and we have conversations. And the conversations from now could be about a variety of things. We started out doing this years ago based on love, relationship, and life, and it has grown and blossomed. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for these two gentlemen. They take time out once a week when they could be doing a array of different other things, but they're here and they don't mind opening up and sharing and speaking boldly and not speaking in a sense to where they're hurting someone's feelings or not ashamed to say some things. And that's, for me, is a true measure of a man. Mr. DeMaurice, outside of church, it doesn't seem like the word sin is kind of spoken of that often. And again, the manipulation sometimes that comes with the word. I want to get your reaction to it, sir.
Yeah, because I think, a lot of religions are based on control, manipulation, and sanctioning, and making people feel like they're less than when we're all less than what we're supposed to be. And so, I know some religious institutions are like, well, that's the world and the world's just going to do what the world's going to do. But in here, we're going to control what you do, what you say, how you act, how you, conduct yourself in this particular manner. Because think about it, when you're in church, you act a whole lot different than when you're on the outside of that church. And I get visions in my head where, you have the ushers who have that one finger walking through the aisles, being polite, and all white and all that other stuff. You don't say certain things in church. You don't do certain things in church, or you'll be sanctioned or you'll be ostracized. And it does happen in society, but it's like a lot more wiggle room that you have in society. But church doesn't, really want to deal with what's in the world. As long as you come in here and do what you're supposed to do, pay those tithes and say your amens and all that other stuff, then you're cool here, and mostly all can be forgiven, because some of the stuff people say, oh, we forgive you for this, but no, that's not what happens. But I think it was used on us as Black people to control, manipulate, and sanction us, and keep us under control so we wouldn't rebel and do unto others that they had done unto us kind of situation. And so it has become a microcosm of how do they do that throughout society. How do we use the religion to control different segments of society? So it has seeped its way in different sectors of society, but they're trying to do it in the schools, they're trying to do it in politics and all this other stuff. But I think for the most part, religious organizations and institutions use that to control the people who have subscribed to that religion or that institution or that organization. And they use that to the T. It's like you can go to any religious organization, and you get sanctioned for certain things. When in society, you really can't, you don't really wield that power unless you hook up with another entity that has that power to do that.
Yeah. I think overall, as a world, we become comfortable with sin. We really have. We really have become comfortable. It's not even a second or third thought. With that being said, gentlemen, I want us to choose a personal sin that you battle with, have battle with, and sometimes you won the battle, and sometimes you lost the battle. I'll start this one out and give you guys a chance to kind of think a little deeper, because I'm sure you guys got some sins you may not want to expose, so to speak. So find one that's going to hurt the least to expose. I'm just teasing when I say that because we just come out and say what we got to say. But in reality, lust always when I was younger was the biggest sin I battled with. When I look at the three deadly ones, lust was always the one that I would lose the battle with. And sometimes I didn't even try to battle it. I know within myself, I didn't even try. I just kind of just let it roll. And then I got to a point where it was like, Mark, you're better than this. You have to do better than that. And that's when the fight started to try to battle and win and win and win. Because realizing that was inside of me that I can battle this and win. I just didn't have to lay dead to it and be dormant. I understood what it was, I understood where it was coming from, and it was left up to me with His grace and His mercy to see how I can basically win this battle, just not surrender to it. So that was my personal sin when I look at the three deadly ones that I had to basically deal with. And not saying I don't still deal with it, but it's much easier now to conquer consistently than at a time in my life when I basically just chose not to really fight it. So that was years ago, but over the years, the battle basically sometimes it's not even a battle. There is no battle, and I'm grateful for that. Mr. DeMaurice, your personal sin that you lost some battles too, and you won some too, my brother.
Uh, yeah, lust is one of the biggest ones because I love to see pictures and I love to see beautiful women. So, and I'm probably that guy Charles talked about earlier. Like, ooh, look at that! You see that? Ooh, jiggling. And I have a buddy of mine. We send each other pictures back and forth. Like, man, you see this? You see this? You see this? And I got cousins who do that too. And we're like 12-year-old boys. I'm still that little boy sneaking in my grandfather's stash of Playboys and different magazines. So it's a hard one to kind of to kick. But I know to me, selfishness and I'm going to put complaining in with this selfishness. Sometimes I think it's about me all the time when it's not, and I should not be complaining about things and learn to be more grateful in things that I have and things that I've experienced and things that I see and a part of. So yeah, but lust is always, if you're a man, it's going to be lust, and it's going to be that weakness of the flesh, and we all got a little Sister Sarah in us.
Yeah. I'm gonna thank you for being humble, my brother. I really do, and say that you realize what you realize to complain and stuff. Because I've had talks with people about this show, and for the most part, they 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 like the show. They love the show, but what they kind of stick on is what hurts their feelings, so to speak.
Good.
And they'll, yes, absolutely, they
Good.
will run with that, and they wouldn't even notice that you just humbled yourself. They won't. But and that's how society is when it comes to black men. And you spoke of this earlier. When you said earlier that we're talking about Jaylen Brown, his intellect, all that won't get noticed. But if he's out there acting a fool, that they will pay more attention to. So I say, even in terms of what we do here, gentlemen, a lot of times people will notice more so what scratches their skin. They don't see the humbleness that we bring here. They don't hear that in us. They don't hear how we open up and we're basically open up and sharing our insides. They don't care about that. They only want to see when they think we're saying something to hurt them. I'm just glad you're listening because that's what conversation is about. But I find that interesting that, when I do have conversations sometimes, that's where their focus go. And not say they don't notice other things, but that becomes their sticking point, which is interesting. Mr. Charles, your basic sin, I shouldn't say basic sin, or your personal sin that you have done battle with and won, and maybe lost sometimes.
Definitely lust, like anybody else, because, Lord, I may not be looking at pictures and all that other stuff like Demon Reese, but I love women, bro. I love them. God bless you all. I love them all. So, when you're particularly with the way that this is, you think about lust and stuff has been put put out there for us about, messing around when you should be married and all that other stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm sinning every day then, because it's just real. So it's like certain things you got to learn how to deal with, and not needed all the time, but certain ways you're supposed to follow a protocol, if you will. That there's certain things you just come across. You go like, man, I know I shouldn't be, but you like, ooh, Lord, please help me.
Hmm.
So I'm repenting every day, because I know, but it's not to a point where it overcomes me. And I think D. Marie said it well before, that you have to understand what you can do and how you can control it and how you can move forward and not let it always take over. We do fall down from time to time. The other thing I would definitely agree with selfishness, because I think for a period of time I had to learn a lot about myself, and I think having overcome some personal battles where it was just me and I had to do a lot of things on my own, uh, I became selfish because of the standpoint of I stopped caring a lot about people. And I did that because I thought some people, for a lot of people, had a spoiled mentality where they were always taken care of. They had everything handed to them. And I'm like, stuff I had to go through, I was like, you little spoiled brat motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? That's my mentality. I'm serious for a long time until I had to realize that what I had done, what I'd overcome, what I've been blessed to move forward in, and I could use that to help other people and understand that everybody wasn't like me, and God puts on us for only what we can handle. So I had to come to grips with my anger, because I didn't take time to deal with the I didn't tolerate a lot of stuff, because I was like, well, hell, if I went through this, why can't you? But I realized everybody's not like me, and I'm different, so we're all different. And once I came to grips with that, then I was able to be more understanding and more accepting of people and where they were in life. Now you hold on to that too long, it's only so long from like, all right, now that's enough. You need to try to figure it out. Cause and I think that's still that mentality that I work on daily. But I think after a while you just have to stop feeling sorry for yourself. And God's blessed us so many times that there's not too much that we can't, as you said before, as a sinner, get up from and recover from. We have that ability, because you think about it, there's always somebody else doing worse than you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So absolutely. Yeah. I would look at the other two deadly sins, and I'll say for myself, pride is not something I battle with. I've never seen myself as prideful. And I know some people may look at me and think that, and I think because I'm strongly opinionated and I'm bold in what I say, they confuse that for being prideful, what it's not. And selfishness, I never really battled with that too much, because I look at it to where I never wanted to be selfish. I always check myself about being selfish. Now, if I come across someone that's being selfish, that could be something that gets my attention. But I never wanted to just kind of focus in on me. I always wanted my heart to be open to other people, but it's open to you where if you deserve it, you have to earn it. It's just not necessarily going to flood you if you're not worthy of such. So I kind of always looked at it that way when it comes to that. I want to throw something out to him. I noticed it over the summer. I remember when it happened. I made a mental note of this, and I wanted to get the two gentlemen's opinion. There's certain, I think it might have been Louisiana, Kentucky or Louisiana, the state where they decided to put the Ten Commandments at the front of the schools, and kids walk by them on a daily basis. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was another school system, certain where they wanted to maybe have prayer in the morning. And then in the state, of course, with the Ten Commandments, there was an uproar, and they're like, they don't care. They don't care. And I wanted to kind of get an idea. I have my personal thoughts behind it, but I wanted to come to you two gentlemen and get a feel. Mr. Charles, I'll come to you first. When you think of, these kids walking by the Tenth Commandments daily, 5 days a week, as they're walking into school, your reaction to it?
I don't really wouldn't have a problem with it, but my only concern is with so many different beliefs and religions and stuff going on right now, I think it's kind of hard to just have one, right? So you're basically telling somebody that this is the way. It's almost as if telling somebody what they should believe in. And I think if we're supposed to have freedom of choice or freedom of speech, then I think it should be care. We should be careful as to how we delegate that. Back in the day, it was just done that way, but I think now it's just different. So from that standpoint, I think everybody should believe what they want to, but you should not be invade on somebody else's choice to how they pursue their faith.
Yeah, I hear you with that. The Vaden part, I definitely hear you. I like it from perspective where the way they're doing it, for a child can walk by and see it, or a child can walk by and ignore it. But I like it in that sense because as a child, you may never hear about the Ten Commandments in your home. You never, so you may walk by and read one commandment a day, and it gets you to start thinking. When no one else saying nothing to you about it, because we had the opportunity as men. We grew up where we had someone in our circle of our family to basically speak to us about the goodness of God, who God is, and that nature. Imagine if we didn't have that nowhere in our life, if it wasn't open to us. So, for a young boy or a young girl that may fall into that situation, that walk by and read a commandment and then want to take it further and learn on their own, I think it's a beautiful thing. I do. And I think it's, if you're just putting it in front of them and letting them walk by, I have no problem. Now, if you're taking it to the classroom and you're basically kind of giving it to them, that's where I think it can get real murky because at that point you are invading and you're trying to make them, that's where man and women could try to make you believe what they want you to believe. But when a child has an opportunity, just like we all did, to be given a little bit of it or be given some of it, and then go do the work on your own, as you spoke to earlier, Mr. Charles, develop a relationship with God, which is primal. When you can do that and take that and go develop your own relationship, oh, it's a beautiful thing. Your reaction to it, Mr. Maurice?
I look at it as indoctrination because you do have different religions, you have different paths, and so one shouldn't be chosen to speak for all, and that's the responsibility for a family and the parents. What religion you want or what spiritual beliefs that you want your children to believe in. I truly believe that, and if the parents and family don't do that, oh well. But I do think it's an indoctrination. I spoke of it earlier about how sometimes it's used to manipulate because sometimes that gets in our subliminal. And if you're not part of that belief in that religion, then it does kind of stick to you, and you kind of wonder about it, things of that sort, even young children. So no, I think it's the society as a whole. You have your governments; they're not abiding by those Ten Commandments. So what right do you have to try to indoctrinate everybody else to believe in something that you don't even believe or that you demonstrate? So there are different religions, there are different beliefs. And so all should be open to worship and pray and believe in what, their culture and their race wants them to believe. Because we got indoctrinated. They handed us Bible and they stole our land, they stole our people. So to me, it's more of indoctrination than trying to say, oh, we're just going to be a country that serves God. This country doesn't serve God. They serve themselves. Let's be real.
Well stated, my brother. Well stated. Well stated. We're gonna wrap this up. Some questions from the cat, man. I stated earlier, we get together and sometimes on a weekly basis we check to see the pulse, make sure we're good for the most part, and things are rolling pretty good. The blood is flowing good through our veins. But with that being said, Mr. DeMaurice, a question that might have been in your mind this week, my brother.
It's something I've been wondering, and me and my attorney buddy were talking last night, and we started talking about the P. Diddy case. And I'm like, there is no way the FBI is going to confiscate 1,000 bottles of baby oil. I said, something has to be in that baby oil. whether it's liquid ecstasy, whatever, because our boy Kraft got busted at a massage parlor. They ain't take the baby oil.
Hmm.
Not one bottle of baby oil or oil was taken. And he's like, you know what? I never thought about that. The other thing I would talk about is our boy Shannon Sharp did a video. I don't know if we talked about this other show. He accidentally turned on the IG.
Oh my.
And I said, when I'm listening to that tape, bro, I hear a man's voice saying, "Yes, sir," and then it goes to a female voice. And I think he strictly did that to get off or ward off gay rumors that were coming around him. And then a week later, he starts selling male enhancement pills. Make it make
Hmm.
sense.
Damn.
For 90
I
seconds of grunting. Make it make sense.
yeah. I didn't know about the male enhancement pill selling. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know about that. That's crazy. It's beyond itself. That's crazy. I'm with you. I about the video or the tape, whatever the stream, whatever he did. Yeah, that's he's trying to take off. He's trying to send a smoke signal to divert your attention to other things that's going on in his life. That's not necessary. And it's a foolish attempt to do such, bro. I look at it like this with Shannon Sharp, man. Shannon, I've been a big fan of yours, bro. You played football. I loved how you conduct yourself when you came on. I remember you was on CBS NFL, and then you moved from there, and you ended up with that clown that you worked against. I love what you stood for in that show, how you handle yourself, and I didn't like how you handle him. I think you'd handle him more straightforward, more forcefully. But bro, I love who you are. I love what you're doing, but you're starting to turn into a clown, man. I'm being honest with you. You are who you are. If that's your life, that's your life. But we're not going to judge you based on that part of your life. We judge you for what you bring in into your arenas, and you need to understand that. But you're so confused now. You're trying to battle all these other ghosts that are out there. Just be the man that you are, bro. Who loves you for that? Who don't? Let them decide. You don't get a chance to pick and choose who love you. And that's what he's trying to do now. He's trying to cover, in my opinion, trying to cover his tracks and try to keep the narrative where he wants the narrative to be. And it's not going to be that way. Just do your job the best of your ability. And who loves you, who rides with you, they will. On the P Diddy stuff, man, I'm almost tired of hearing about anything about that. I agree with you. Something's probably in the baby oil. What I find to be interesting is that people look at him. They don't even understand what the charges that he's up against, what they really are. They don't. I think it's crazy when we start saying that. They go on after him. He's another black man. They pull him down. Miss me with all
Mm-mm-mm.
that.
No,
Miss
no.
me.
Yep, yep,
Miss me.
yep.
Please miss me with all that. I'm tired when black people do bad things. They want Black Panther support. Miss me with all that. I'm sorry. I just please miss me. Start to understand the charges. We got a mayor here in New York City. This cat basically, as they've been following this cat for years, building a trial, a case against him. This mofo last time, they came out, the attorney general came out and dropped the case, bang, what they got against him. They've been tracking him for years, working with a foreign country. Now this cat gonna run the black churches. They stand up, hallelujah. I don't get it.
Mm.
Sorry. Guilty is guilty. When does guilty become not guilty? We gotta stop loving these people. I'm sorry, when you fall, we can pray for you, but we can't act like you're innocent when you're guilty. We just can't. And don't give me that bullshit about guilty when proven. Sorry. It's just But yet you ain't been in these black churches. As soon as they ready to put the cuffs on your black ass, you go into every black church in the state of New York. Come on, man. Stop the buffoonery. Stop the triflingness. You ain't been just doing a crime yesterday. They got you, bro. And we're not coming to the jail, P. Diddy. We ain't coming to jail to bail you out. We're not coming storming the jail taking you. I don't know where you got that in your head. We don't support you like that, bro. Same thing with this cat in the mayor of New York. You fall on the sword, fall on your sword. That's how a man lives. That's how a man dies. Your reaction, Mr. Charles.
Yeah, from the Diddy thing. I mean, the thing is, for him, he's had so much opportunity and has so much success, and now that these things are coming forward, you can see that he had a great opportunity and he squandered it. And he really seemed appeared allegedly to have really destroyed a lot of lives. I mean, I think about whatever that's the whole Justin Bieber thing is just s me up, man. I'm telling you, from what I saw, if any of that is true to like it is, that's a damn shame. That one that he would be allowed to be parents return their kids over like they do to somebody like that, and then I think he literally did he really literally started to believe that he was bigger than life. You know, it's one thing when you do stuff with adults, but when you start taking advantage of kids, man, you know that's a whole different ball game. That just kind of blows me away, and I don't know. That just kind of it's crazy from that standpoint. And finally, slowly but surely, it's coming together. And I think once the tape, we saw the tape of him with the young lady Cassie, and the way he treated her and kicked her and stomped her, and now we're hearing stuff of the other things he had her doing for his own pleasure, and she was just part of whatever was going on. Says a lot about a person, man. So I don't care how many records you sell, how many things you say, whatever you're doing, it just kind of makes you go, damn, for real. You could have done so much better as far as the greatness you could have done, but you chose to choose that avenue. How you went about your life.
No, I agree with you 100%, man. I mean, as much as given, as much as earned is earned. You got a lot that you owe something to it. And that's the best you have to offer. That's the best. And you're right about the Justin Bieber thing, man. He's just one that we know of. How about the other males that might have been out there we don't even know about? We don't know. I remember when Justin Bieber was just, not Justin Bieber, if I'm saying his name incorrectly, but I'll just say Justin. I remember when he was out there doing some foolish things. I'm like, why is this cat acting the way he's acting? He's on top of the world, basically. And then you start to understand why. You understand why. And it's sad. It's sad, man. For all the people that he allegedly, if you want to say that, did something to, and I feel sorry and I pray for them. Because it's sad when we live in a world where people want to put fame above decency, above just being decent, and take advantage of those that. And that's always been that way. When you look at the celebrity movies from years ago back, anytime people wanted to kind of be something big in life, or as in a celebrity standpoint, there was somebody there ready to take advantage of you.
Hmm.
There was ready to take advantage of you. And I agree with you too, Mr. Charles, because something need to be said. I've seen it for R. Kelly. We spend more time. No one talk about the parents that with P Diddy. Someone dropped them on. Your response, Mr. Demarest.
Yeah, I see that it's hitting the headlines and everybody's talking about it, and it's horrific. And I agree with what both of you said, but also put something else on people's mind is don't get blown away and carried away by all the distractions. We got work to do. In less than 30 days, we got some work to do. So yeah, you want to follow these stories, fine, but there's another story that's bigger than that about this country, and we got to get there. It's early voting that started. Let's vote. Let's get out. Don't get caught up in the distraction and um, let this fool get back in office. That's all I got to say.
Bro, that election's already done. It's already won, brother. All this, I'm serious, man. All this is a sideshow that's going on right now. That election's already done. It's won. In my opinion, in my honest and humble opinion, it's done, bro. When she decided to come out, it's already done. It was done. Now, I'm not, we say, I know a lot of people don't want to take things for granted, but it's done. It's truly done. Mr. Charles, your question that you have, my brother, before we get up on out of here, pack it up and close the door to Elias Law. What you have?
Yeah, I have a question. Lately or last few months, whatever it may be, have you run across something that somebody accomplished or did that truly impressed you?
The last couple of months. Wow. Last couple of months. Ah, mm. I'm gonna go to Mr. DeMaurice and what I think, but I have nothing. Mr. DeMaurice, you have something?
Yeah, it's part of the work that I do, and I can't really kind of talk about it because it's really confidential. But there are different victories that people have in their lives with being in bad situations. I'll explain it this way. Find themselves in bad situations and families being broken up and working hard to make it right and getting families reconnected. Um, I'm always amazed to see that, a lot of people, they don't make the news. They don't make, the papers and things of that sort, or all the things that they've been doing to make their family right and do the right things to protect the babies out here in society that can't fend for themselves. So, yeah, a lot of people would kind of think those are small victories and that you're supposed to be doing that anyway. But, as far as I'm concerned, there aren't any really kind of books and classes to teach people how to be parents and things of that sort. But when they get it together and they really, you see them get it and you see the light bulb come on and then you see them fighting so hard to make things right. To me, that's that's an astonishing feat. And that there's going to be one less child that's out there that is unprotected and not sought after. So I see that just about every day. You see the bad things that happen, but you do see the parents after a while they make the turnaround, and it's just, to me, it's astonishing to see, and you feel good about what you do and the future of these babies.
That's good stuff right there, Mr. Maurice. I commend you, my brother. Mr. Charles, as he was speaking, I did come with something. And it's, to me, miracles happen every day. It could be little or big. And sometimes we pay attention to them, sometimes we ignore them. We had a storm here, a rainstorm, simple rain in the state of Connecticut, maybe about a month and a half ago. It's this town called Oxford, Connecticut. Small town. Got flooded out for the most part. Homes just basically, they had homes that kind of went away with mud. You saw the water, it just kind of running downhill, running downstream. I mean, high water. And it was one news story where this lady was driving her vehicle, and she had two kids with her, her son and daughter, and the water started to come upon her. So she opened up the 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 sunroof of her car. Her and the kids got on top of the vehicle. As she opened up and stood on top of the vehicle, it was a tractor trailer coming down, and he was driving through the rain. And she didn't even realize he pulled beside her, opened his door, and allowed them to come in and took off. So he took them to a safe area, dropped them off, and went about doing his job and saved their life basically through God's help. So she was just so grateful. She didn't know the guy. She didn't get the guy's name, nothing. So she came on and was saying this, and they tracked the guy down. It was a brother. And he just said, I did what in my heart was led me to do. And think about if he wasn't there or he didn't drive by, those three lives would have perished. So for me, that's amazing. Something I can't even say impressed by. I just love to see it touch my heart because, there are things happen in life and we forget that he's always there, even at the moments when we think he's not there. That's what I'll leave that with. Your response to a good question, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, just running across the story. You guys might have heard about this guy by the name of young man by the name of Amarion Smith. He's 21 years old, from Detroit. Started out as a football player, a three-star prospect. Went to the University of Cincinnati. Played there 2 years. In 2022, his mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, so he moved back home, transferred back to Detroit. A couple months ago, his mom passed away, and she always told him about handling business. So right now, he is studying criminal law, criminal justice at Michigan State University. He's 21 years old, and his mom passed away about a couple months ago. And he's also a football player at Michigan State. But with all that being said, he's also the guardian of his five siblings.
Good gracious.
25 years old, 21 years old, five siblings. His mom passed away. Dad's not really in the picture, and he is not only handling business, he's taking care of them and making sure that they get what they need. There's been a lot of donations. They're blessed to have a home of their own. but he is the guardian, and he makes sure that these kids have what they need because he said he knows that's what his mom would need for him to do, and that's the cards he was dealt, and he's going to handle it no matter what. And to me, when I read the story, I first saw it one place, and I read it again. I was like, you talk about intestinal fortitude, you talk about the blessings upon one person, and then just a young man overcoming crazy odds to move forward and take care of his folks. I was blown away. My heart went out to him, and I had to say, next time I have an opportunity on this platform or whatever, I'm going to share this because more people need to know about the great accomplishments this man is doing at such a young age.
Hey, thanks for bringing it forth, man. Absolutely. Thanks for bringing that forth. Gentlemen, thanks for bringing forth what you always do. We love what we do here when Black Men Talk. Mr. Charles and Stephen Reese. We'll get together next week, about 6, 7 days away. In the meantime, take care of yourself. God will continue to bless you, and we love you as well.